Everyone that does this bootcamp will make well over six figures guaranteed. Yo, what's good YouTube? My name is Vincent and I'm teaching a free coding bootcamp. If you've made it this far, make sure to give yourself a pat on the back. You've stuck through this and you've built a wonderful resume with awesome projects.
Yeah, now we're talking!
So you're probably wondering, are you ready to apply for jobs? To be honest, it's impossible to tell whether you're ready or not. As a self-taught programmer, there's no certain timeline of 4 months, 6 months, or whatever. Obviously, you can do it a lot faster as well. Everyone learns at their own pace. So there's no point in stressing yourself over a fixed timeline. But in my opinion, if you've made it to this lesson, and if you have at least 3 projects on your resume, you're definitely ready to apply for jobs. Anyways, you've probably seen a lot of posts on the internet about how hard it is to get a job and how the job market is saturated. Well, first off, the people making these posts are just whining. They're not putting in the work and they're probably just applying to the wrong jobs. But because you guys are following this bootcamp, I will try my best to put you guys on the right track. Let's talk about expectations. You've probably seen all these videos on YouTube, TikTok, etc., where people are talking about how they broke into tech and making well over 6 figures. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely doable. But what we see on the internet is survivorship bias, where basically we glorify the success stories and we bury the stories about failures. My goal with this bootcamp isn't to lie to you guys and say that everyone that does this bootcamp will make well over 6 figures guaranteed. Instead, I want to teach you guys the skills to help you land a job in the field. Now let's take a look at this scale. It says that the average software engineering salary is around 89K per year. If you can get that as your first job, you should be very happy. Even if you get a value below the median, and let's say you're at the bottom at around 68K per year, that's still a pretty good salary. You're making at least double minimum wage, and you didn't even have to spend over 4 years to get a degree in the field. Again, let's not focus too much on the money. I want you guys to focus on getting your foot in the door. So that way you can get paid while you continue to learn and succeed in this career path. Listen, as you get more experience, the money will come. I know this for a fact because for my first job out of university, I was making around 130K total compensation. And that's considered low considering that I got a degree. But I was very happy because I wasn't a bum and I was able to get a job after graduating. Anyways, during my first job, I focused on gaining experience, learning, and improving myself, so that when I applied for my next job, I was able to double my total compensation. And after you get your first job, everything starts to snowball because now you actually have work experience. So again, I just want to emphasize, land that first job, get paid, and keep learning, and you'll for sure break that 6-figure mark eventually. Cool, so another thing about expectations is that you're gonna go through a lot of rejections, you're gonna get ghosted, and you're probably gonna want to give up. And that's totally normal, because if it was that easy, then everyone and their family would be a software engineer. But rest assured, even though I have a computer science degree, I still went through the same struggles. Finding my first job was definitely a challenge. I still had to grind and also go through many rejections. But because I've been through all this, I can provide you guys with some tips and tricks on how you can maximize your chances of getting interviews and passing. First off, we should all be happy that applications are free. So make sure to abuse this and apply. Applying to jobs is basically a numbers game. The more jobs you apply to, the higher the chance of you getting a call back. So go ahead, go apply to FANG, go apply to hedge funds, and just apply. One huge mistake that I made during my career was that I read too much into job descriptions. Like geez, some jobs required over 10 years of React experience, and React hasn't even been around for that long. And because I didn't fit the job description, I ended up not applying and not shooting my shot. But listen, half of these jobs are written by people in HR, where some of them don't even know the difference between Java and JavaScript. Jokes aside, a job description basically tries to find the perfect candidate. In real life, even in dating, it's definitely impossible to find a 100% match. But if they can find that match, then good for them. In most cases, companies are willing to compromise and hire someone that can grow into that role. After I've realized this, I personally don't take job descriptions that seriously anymore. So my advice here is that you should just apply. In the worst case, you'll probably just get ghosted, but you should still pay attention to the required skills section. So that way you can get more keyword matches for your resume, which I talked about in the previous lesson. Nice, and if you're still struggling to get callbacks, I highly recommend that you check out hackathons and coding competitions. You don't even need to win or anything. Just by participating, it will give you hands-on experience that you can add to your resume. This is especially great for those of you that are trying to apply for internships. This will show your interest for coding outside of school and projects. And apparently the recruiters that I spoke with, they really love seeing hackathons on resumes. Lastly, let's talk about how to apply to jobs. My favorite site to use is Google. Literally just type entry-level software engineer jobs and go through each one and apply. You can also do the same thing with LinkedIn. Just search for software engineering jobs and you can use the filter feature to help narrow down your search. Another thing that you can do is you can ask people for referrals. So if you know someone working at a specific company, you can just ask them to refer you. In most cases, if you join the company, they'll end up getting a bonus. So it's a win-win for you and your friend. And of course, you can also go to a company's website and apply directly. Lastly, I'm not sponsored by this site, but I used it a lot when I was applying for internships. Check out angels.co. This site has a huge list of startup companies that are hiring. And you can find the emails of people on the teams, and then you can shoot them an email explaining why you'll be a good fit for that role, and you can also include your resume. Anyways, I can keep talking about this topic forever, so instead, let's switch it up. Here's a resume that someone shared with me. They're self-taught, and they started to learn to code around 3 to 4 months ago. And they've been getting a lot of interviews. This person isn't wasting any time at all. While they're still learning, they're also applying for jobs. Although this resume isn't perfect, it's still landing interviews. But I do want to note that this person decided to take an online computer science degree. I'm not saying that you need to do this at all, but I just want to show you guys proof that this is definitely possible, and also the lengths that some people would do just to get a job. Anyways, if you've made it this far into the bootcamp, you are definitely ready to apply for jobs. I know you may feel like you're not ready, but trust me, you've learned so much in these 50 lessons. So if you're not a part of this bootcamp, I'd highly recommend that you check it out. In the next arc of this series, we will be learning data structures and algorithms, which is basically good foundational computer science knowledge that will definitely help you become a better engineer. Typically, when you interview at a tech company, the interviews are a bit different and you might get asked a technical question. It's totally fine if you bomb your first interview. But the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to get humbled by this experience. So that way you can respect the grind that software engineers have to go through. Not to scare you or anything, but if you can get really good at these interviews, you'll be able to pass interviews for top tech companies, which will pay you a lot of money. And that's a wrap. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Peace.